Sydney Roosters are beaten by the West Tigers 30-28. And if you ever needed an example of sometimes rugby league is just about the team that wants it more, here is the example. I understand the Roosters were missing some players, but the West Tigers were under the pump. No Appy, no Luai. De Silva's gone. You've got a 30-year-old Tristan Hope in 9. Buller's gone as well. Taruva to fullback, which I much prefer him at fullback there. But they needed to win. It was really that simple. One team wanted to win, one team needed to win, and we saw that with the West Tigers. And the beautiful thing is, it's a good example. Look, I don't know what's going on at the club, but at the very least, most of that team is desperate to get the win for Benji Marshall. That's a huge positive for the club. Sydney Roosters, sure, you could be super critical, but geez, they're missing some players too. I'm still quite high on the Roosters making the 8. When they get their boys back in. I think they're way further ahead of schedule than they would have thought. I think you can tell that by Trent Robinson's calm nature in the post-match press conference, but a bloody good win from the West Tigers. What do you think, Hammy?
Yeah, started very well. First half, just about flawless, probably apart from the last 2 minutes there where they let in a try off the back of a penalty they just didn't need to give away. So, they had a commanding lead. They probably should have held it a bit better. I know Benji, that he was asked if he was happy with the performance, given the noise during the week and stuff. He said, not really. When you get to a lead like that, you should be able to defend it. So, good to see that he's kind of not resting on the laurels as well. But that said, there was a lot of noise through the week, and some of the boys came out, Latu Fainu, after the game and said, it was important that we kind of showed the coach that we kind of care about him and all that sort of thing. So gutsy win by the club. Obviously, the Roosters had a few out, but so did the Tigers. They've done it. We've done it pretty tough over the last couple of weeks. And I think just a lot of guys playing out of position. And there's been players that have left the club this year or whatever, but the ones that are still there, clearly they care, and they're prepared to. Do things that are a little bit uncomfortable, that was a gutsy win.
Just about that narrative about players leaving the club. You can say, why did they let Talau Silva go this year, whilst also understanding Galvin and De Silva wanted to leave.
Yeah.
That's not the Tigers' fault.
Yeah.
And yes, I understand that there's been articles of De Silva wanted to plan forward or whatever. Listen, if you want to plan forward, you would ask the question. You would try harder to stay. If you're De Silva, I've got no issue with him leaving early. I think it's smart if he wants to get out of there. But to suggest that they wanted to stay, but he's getting an early release. You wouldn't even ask the question. If you were so desperate to stay, why would you ask for a mid-season release?
Yeah.
So I think the narrative about we've lost all these juniors is okay, you've lost them, but they didn't want to be there.
Exactly.
Which is fine. Yeah. I think Talau Silva is going to be fantastic at the Eels. I think eventually the Galvin situation is going to work. But I don't think it should be held against the Tigers that these two guys have they don't want to be there, which is fine. It is what it is.
Yeah, you want people in the squad who want to be there. And I think, there is a good nucleus of players that do care and that, do want to be there. Obviously, all three Fainu brothers scored on the weekend. You can build a club around these guys are all early 20s as well. Thought Latu had his best game yet, probably for the club.
Just in regards to the De Silva one though, just to be clear, the only thing I'm mind blow at is the Tigers letting him go this year when what's better than having Tristan Hope in the first grade squad and Api Coruscant? De Silva as well. It's better. You've paid all his wages. You can't get anyone from him. Keep him for the rest of the year. But the narrative that people tried to spin that De Silva actually wanted to stay, but the Tigers were just no, get out of here. It's if he wanted to stay, why would he ask for a release to go to the Eels now? I just don't get that narrative that's being spun against the Tigers. It doesn't make any sense. They clearly wanted to leave. That's fine.
I think it's just, can't be honest, I think it's just easy clicks for a lot of journalists to go, how about they run? They didn't even offer it. If the player wanted to stay, they would have gone, hey, how about you offer me something? I think it's just a bit of a cop-out, to be honest, for most of them, when they just go, can you believe they didn't do X, Y, or Z? They don't do everything perfectly, but I think sometimes they just see them as an easy target,
It's just a De Silva one. It's I'm sure the Tigers didn't go and ask the Eels for the release or whatever. It would have been De Silva and his team saying, can I get a release to go to the Eels?
Correct.
So, a little bit surprised there, how they've tried to muddy the waters a little bit. It was pretty clear that Api Coruscant was the choice, which is fine. Talau Silva has looked at that and said, okay, I want to play first grade. I'm going to go somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why they tried to muddy it and be well, actually, he did want to stay. It's what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
You know what, mate, when I was at the Broncos, if I wanted to stay, I remember having conversations like there were certain things agreed to where I went to the club and was like, don't even bother giving me that. I'm desperate to say I love this club. And the club was just like, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to stay, you'll stay. Anyway, just another thing as well with this game, I got to say, that ref at the end, you know, relatively good game. You know, yeah, okay, 1 or 2 calls here or there. But speaking to Teddy and giving him so many chances to go for that goal, that was so inappropriate. So inappropriate. It should never happen again like that. That was really, really poor. I understand where he was coming from in regards to like trying to do the right thing or whatever, but it is not on him to make Teddy make the right decision. That was really, really poor.
We were obviously out of the game, and I noticed it live that as soon as Teddy stood up, he went like that and whatnot. I actually didn't notice him chase him after. I've seen the comments since. He's not his coach.
It's really, really poor. Like that's a bad look for the game.
If you make a dumb decision, you make a dumb decision.
You don't run after a captain going, I just want to confirm that you're making this call. Like, that's a really poor, really, really poor decision from... I understand he was probably looking at it from a... I don't know, maybe like, oh, Teddy doesn't know what he saw. It doesn't matter. Even if Teddy doesn't know the rules, that's not your call. It's not your call. But yeah, I just want to point that out. You know, I'm not assigning any kind of malice or whatever. That cannot happen again. What if that had been the difference?
Well,
you know?
Yeah.
Like, what if that conversion...
It wouldn't have shocked me at all. That sort of thing happens to us all the time. So, thankfully, dodged the bullet.
You know, and so, you know, it is Richo spoke about, you know, the lower tier teams, certain subconscious, all this kind of stuff. So, anyway, just wasn't a good look. Should never happen again.
Yeah, I and it happens in different parts of our game, whether it's packing in scrums or whether it's, you know, playing the ball on the mark. Like, referees aren't there to baby them and teach them.
No, it was just the extreme nature of it, like chasing him and...
Yeah, same thing at the game. I didn't actually know what the conjecture was about, but I saw them talking for ages and I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Mate, well, so Teddy, they scored the try. Teddy walked straight up to him and was like, we don't want to take the kick. We don't want to... It was extremely clear. The ref chased him, yelling him, Teddy, just confirming you don't want to take... And then Teddy said again, I'm pretty sure, don't want it. And then he was like, are you sure? Anyway... Go and look at it, the actual video, guys. Maybe I'm recalling it a bit harsher than what happened, but it shouldn't happen again. Anyway, back to the game. We already spoke about Latu Fainu and the KO can't miss moment, but just quickly again on him, if you can just keep him on the field, that's a very exciting young player to build a club around.
100%. Yeah, he was great. We spoke about his explosive speed, all that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, just big moments that kind of mattered through the game that probably won the Tigers the game. He was front and centre in them, whether he was actually scoring the try or putting guys through gaps. Yeah, easily his best game so far.
You could tell it meant quite a lot to Rel May. Played his heart out.
Hey, what about that play where I think he got an offload and then the next play he came charging down the short side as the first receiver, looking to ball play. It meant heaps to him, that one. Yeah. As it should. Good on him.
Yeah, I mean, you know, regardless of whether you think it's right or wrong or whatever, you know, it's a player getting moved on for essentially no real reason after signing a contract a few months before or whatever it was. Hasn't he just been a revelation at the Tigers? My God. So
good. And Benji called him out in the post-match. He goes, look, a lot of obviously players out or missing from this game, so our next level of leaders really needed to step up. And he pointed to, obviously, Twa was the captain, but he had Terrell May in that kind of bucket as well. So, you know, it's good to see that he's, you know, he's playing a bit of a leadership role within the team. You know, obviously that's rightly or wrongly a bit of a knock on him, you know, is potentially a bit of a disrupting influence in squads, but in this squad, he's actually one of the guys that Benji kind of trusts to go to and bring the best out of the other guys.
And look, a guy like Luai, you know, he's grown up with, I think he even grew up probably with Terrell May. Like, you know, there's different characters in squads. It's just a matter of creating an environment that can understand that difference, but also use it to the advantage. Because a guy like Terrell, so on the weekend against his old club, 22 runs, 204 metres, 78 post contact, 3 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 38 tackles, only 1 miss, no errors. Like, that's a huge knock. 70 minutes. And funnily enough, on the other side, White returning serve, 22 runs, 250 metres, 113 post contact, 5 tackle breaks, 45 tackles, only 1 miss. The scary thing is like, could you imagine if they were still on the same side?
Well, he looked great in orange, white and black. Get him over.
Oh, White's coming over?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got to say as well, I thought, where is he? I thought Bloke was great as well. I really do.
Gun.
He's been the unsung hero for you guys this year. Like, a lot of plaudits have gone to Terrell May, and understandably. But I think Bloke has just gone... if he was in any other forward pack other than one with Terrell May in it, he'd be getting talked about so much more regularly. He's been outstanding for you guys.
He's been awesome. I do actually think that having Terrell May at the club has helped bring the best out of him because he's been in and around the squad for the last few years, and he played a bit more 13 in years gone by, but those two have been so good together, and he's like the footwork that guy's got for such a big unit is outrageous. But yeah, he's been fantastic. I know there's been a bit of talk around trying to shore him up and secure him, but he'd be top of the list, I reckon.
Surely.
In terms of blokes to
Just on two in their reserve grade, Taylor May, he obviously made his return. He only played half the game, and he actually subbed off for a young fella, Macassini, who the Tigers also reckon is proper player of the future.
Yep.
So two guys there. I didn't watch Taylor May's game and whatnot, but I saw a highlight of him making a tackle about 12 metres out. He just picked up the guy and drove him back into the in goal.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Taylor May, I think people forget this guy is
very talented.
Very talented player, rugby league player.
Tristan Hope went well.
Great knock.
He's, I looked at his cup stats as well. 12 games this year. He's scored 7 tries, 6 tries. He had 4 in one game earlier in the year, but 28-year-old, whether or not his defence is good enough, but I thought he was quite good for you, Hammy, and whether he's sort of does he become the backup to Appy long term, or what are your thoughts on him?
I think he does. I know Benji really likes his attitude and application. Remember, he got given a debut in round 1. Appy was out in that game, and obviously, he's a little bit older, but he's gone the long way. He came down from Queensland, and he reminds me, come with me on the journey here, a little bit of Bo Webster coming into the Aussie Test team. Like, he's not a young guy coming through that is, picked on potential. He knows his game really well, so when he comes in, he hasn't really missed for the first grade team when he's come in. He knows
41 tackles, 0 misses.
Really consistent, great service.
That's the benefit of coming through Q Cup.
Correct.
Properly.
Exactly. So, a little bit of a silver lining there. Obviously, Talented Silva, great young player, but this guy's a good quality first grade player, so probably gives him a bit of an opportunity the rest of the year.
What about the great Twal leading the team to victory?
1 from 1.
The Adonis.
Yeah.
Don't need to score tries when you win a match as a captain.
Yeah. He nearly, you look, kind of came close once or twice there. A couple of big runs in the close to the line. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic. I think he loved being given the opportunity to captain the team. Just like watching him kind of like address the media a few times through the week.
He's the best. He's so funny.
He's just great, isn't he?
Yeah. Great gear.
Yeah. So that, I think even, obviously it's not a long-term thing, but giving a guy like him the seed for a game like that'll kind of flow on for the rest of the year for him, you'd imagine.
Absolutely. I thought Gerald Skelton, at least in what he needs to do in regards to his run out of his own end, was outstanding.
Yep.
Which is great. It was exactly what you need. Isn't Luke Lalili an interesting player? Didn't necessarily set the world alight. I think there was a couple of times defensively could have been a bit better. But there's a lot of potential there. He's like very explosive young athlete.
And he was out of position, right? Like he plays a lot more wing than he does centre.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, correct. He's even played a little bit of fullback as well, but mainly on the wing. So it was interesting to see him get thrown in the centre.
They go, we'll move you to centre and you can oppose Mark Nawaqanitawase. It's like, thanks.
Yeah, and he just turned 19 like a week ago.
Super young. So the only concern's the wrong word, but just query is like, make sure his development is correct. Like, yes, it is good sometimes to just throw a young kid in the deep end or whatever, but I hope that, what did we just talk about the Melbourne Storm? Super patient, bring guys through slowly. And a guy like him, I think he has so much potential. He's a very special athlete. You don't want him too damaged confidence-wise by throwing him in against Nawaqanitawase, coming off that field going, oh, geez, am I ready for it or not? Just, I hope his development's right because there's a lot of potential in this young fella.
I'll tell you the other thing with him, he played in the under-19s this year. He was the only first grader that was playing, and at the end of the game, he shook hands, and at the end of the game, made a beeline to the sideline to get his child. Took him straight out there. Like, he was just watching him interacting with people. He's a pretty impressive young kid.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Watching him there, you wouldn't have thought he's the only one that's played first grade. Wasn't a big time or a big hit or anything like that.
Yeah,
okay. A lot of positives.
That's good to see. Good to see. So hopefully they develop him properly because there's heaps of potential there. In regards to that, like Dewey, he tried his heart out all day, which is exactly what you needed. Just a bloody good win for the club. Fainu on the edge there, got that try. Yeah, just a really good win for the club. Really, really good win for the club. Exactly what you needed. And I guess what surprised me the most, not necessarily that she's won, that obviously was a little bit of a surprise, but just like the quality of footy you were playing in the first half. Like that was, some of the better footy you guys have played this year. Like it really, really was. So that's probably what I was a bit like, oh, this is a level of rugby league that's a bit higher than what I thought they could play right now with the roster they've got. So that's what's so pleasing, I think, from a Tigers fan's perspective.
Yeah, that's right. They kind of throw it around a bit, got their own style. I think when they kind of divert back to, I don't know whether it's like, defending a lead or trying to manage that's where it kind of goes a bit pear-shaped. So, it was good. Good style. And also, mathematically, still a chance to host a final as well. So, looking forward to that for the Tigers.
On to the Roosters. Just let the lead slip out from him too long, but it was the Nawaqanitawase show. My God, this guy is a problem, an absolute problem. And is he signed for next year or is it the year after? Can you get his contract?
He's on board for next year as well.
Yeah, it's next year. He's next year. He reckons he purposely
for the World Cup
2 years just to keep the door open for the World Cup.
How much are you signing him for? Because I reckon there are clubs out there that would go up to 800 to 900K.
Oh, mate, well and truly. And I'm saying it for a while. I reckon if he gets a shot at fullback, he like stats alone would be unbelievable, I think.
Yeah.
I think the big question is if you're the Wallabies, how much are you paying to get him back free?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Mate, seriously, like his ability just to make things happen, it's probably been the best of any outside back in the competition this year.
Easy game plan with him. Just give him early.
Literally
ball.
just get in the
and
ball.
It was like yesterday when he had the matchup with Lau Lily. Like it was too good to be true almost. It's like, do not overthink this. Just give him early ball. And Savala did it in the second half, I think, for that second try that he scored. Just gave it to him. There was nothing on. Just trounced it straight through.
Crazy.
He's a freak.
He's an absolute freak. And sometimes you'll spin a ball out to a centre and once every 3 or 4 times, whatever they want to happen will happen. I feel like any time they're in good ball, he's making stuff happen. It is just, he is so impressive. And what's crazy, what's insane, is he's been playing footy again, like back in league for like a year and a half maybe. What's he going to be like in 3 years if he stays in the game and continues to work on everything? Bro, he is just an absolute rock star. And I got a sneaking suspicion he's probably going to sign a massive contract to go back to the Wallabies. Because why wouldn't have you re-signed yet? I'm sure there are clubs out there that are already offering him. I know it's not November 1st yet, but I'm sure his manager has gotten a bit of feeling from teams out there that need a strike outside back.
The hope for Lee is Unky Nick at the Roosters.
Hopefully.
Being at the Roosters, if he wants to keep him, he'll probably keep him. I mean, he'll want to, but he's in the right spot to stay in league, put it that way.
Would you go as high as $1 million for him? I know it's insane. I know it is, but he is he's a freak.
You could if you end up competing with another side for him, which will happen. I wouldn't personally pay him $1 million, but
okay, let's talk about the Dragons, for example. I know there's just let's imagine Gutho's going to retire next year. You can get Nawaqanitawase to the club. You've got a bit of your cap space free. They were going to do it, Joey Manu.
I would not. But it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of this season we're going, I would. He's just that good.
Yeah.
One of the new teams will definitely throw that amount at him, I reckon.
Because he's just think about you got to remember, Dragons are willing to do it with Joey Manu. And obviously he hasn't achieved anywhere near what Joey Manu has in the game yet. But he looks pretty freaking good. He looks pretty good. And so if he keeps playing like this, mate, my God, he's just that good. He's so dangerous with the ball. 120 metres, 2 tries. 14 tackle breaks. 14 tackle breaks.
Yeah, I hope you don't take this personally, Hammy, but I think as well, if Rodwell would have scored that try in the first few minutes off that offload that he had, I think this game would have been a very different one, personally.
I think
the Tigers took a lot from that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I won't take it personally. We won, so...
You did, you showed a lot of ticket throughout the game. Once again, it was 5 tries to 4. But, you don't get lucky with penalty goals. You earn them, and the Tigers earn them consistently.
Yeah. Another guy that has just gone to a whole friggin' another level is Nefu White. My God. I knew he was good, but not this good. I have to, you could see the talent there, but, I thought, he could be a good solid forward that's going to be, 130, 140 metres. Almost that Roosters forward that doesn't necessarily statistically set the world alight, but he's just a dog in the middle that gets through a bunch of work. I mean, there's an argument that form-wise, you take names out of it, he's been in the top 5 front rowers this year, form-wise purely.
Yeah, for sure.
He's been that good.
Yeah, and even yesterday, he had one poor error in the game, which has always been my pet peeve with him. But when you're playing 75 minutes, you're working your dick off like that. I don't give a shit if you got one error in you.
Mate.
It was when he was playing, 30, 40 minutes and doing that. But the way he's going, he's one of the best front rowers in the game.
22 runs, 250 metres, 113 post-contact, 5 tackle breaks, 45 tackles, only 1 miss. And, mate, if you're playing 75 minutes and pulling stats out like that, you can have an error.
100% you can have an error. And he's doing it every single week as well.
This is not just one-off. Like, he's been, even when they're at their worst, White is at one of their best.
Yeah.
He has been phenomenal. When
Robbo was getting rid of Terrell May and Murray Hargraves left, he knew what he had in the Fainu White, didn't he? Because we couldn't make sense before the forwards leaving what they were going to do. Well, there's the answer.
Yeah.
Jeez. Honestly, he's
I'd love to
special.
know if even Robbo knew he'd get to these heights.
This level. It's a good point because, like, if he knew he had this, surely because he was quite far down the pecking order 2 years ago. Like, he would come in when there was injuries, play on the edge sometimes, I think, as well. But he's just been seriously like.
Well, he started off as an edge,
so
he's become a middle.
He's averaging 160 metres per game. His tackle efficiency is 95.2. Post contact 890 metres, 39 tackle breaks, averaging about 13 and a half hit ups. Averaging 51 fantasy points. Boys, don't cry.
Fuck those guys.
Oh, okay, a bit of emotion there. Okay, so here's his last 250 metres, 205 metres, 180 metres, 140 metres against the Bulldogs, 173 metres, 159, 172. That's his last, 6-7 games. Jesus.
At full strength, the Roosters forward pack is White in the front row, Watson at 9, Collins starts with him.
Oh, I think you start with him, absolutely, yeah.
Angus on the left edge, Wong on the right edge.
Yep.
Yeah. Radley at 13.
Yep.
You have Sandon on the bench as 14 once Sam Walker's back. Spencer Lanyu's a certainty. Who are the other spots? You got Blake Steep, you got Fiketti, you'll have Nat Butcher back soon, you got Egan Butcher. It's going to be some bloody good forwards that are left out of this side altogether. Their depth is I'm not sure if Nat Butcher walks straight back into a spot.
No, and he was their player of the year last year, I think, or was the year before. Here's another thing with White. So his post-contact meters, 114, 90, 72, 56, 82, 66, 67. His lowest since round 1 is 55. Everything else is essentially 60-plus meters in post-contact.
Yeah.
Far out, bro. That is hectic. Super special, Super, super special. Any other performances, boys, with the Roosters? Where are we at with the Roosters? I actually think, okay, look, even if they were to just miss the 8, with everything that's gone wrong for them this year, injuries-wise, and Sammy Walker not coming back in time, Brandon Smith getting moved on, I still think when you look at these juniors and how far they've come, I think that the Roosters are sitting back going, we're ahead of schedule here.
Yeah, bloody hell. This has been a huge year for them, all things considered, plus the amount of guys they've brought in that have done well. Like even Max McCarthy, he played 51 minutes on the weekend. Coming in on his debut.
Yeah, and they were absolutely stitched up having to play all 3 of the major Origin weeks with all their players out like that. And to their credit, they won, I think, 2 of them, almost all 3 of them. So that shows the depth.
Yeah. I mean, Talau Silva in 38 minutes ran for 136 metres, 77 post-contact, 20 tackles, only 1 miss. He was a concreter at the start of the year.
We don't even talk about him like he's a young guy now. It's insane, but Toya's playing Origin. He's also a guy that they debuted this year.
Mental. It is exciting. This team at full strength next year. Whew.
Before we move on, and I'm not going to give you the underrated spiel, we do it all the time, but Daniel Tupou, he scored an unbelievable try in this game. That was in our corner.
Oh, God.
He made the kick look perfect. The kick was overcooked, in my opinion. Daniel Tupou is just so good in the air that he managed to get that. If you have a look at where he's sitting in the game right now, he has got 172 tries. So he's 4 away from Brett Morris at 176 to be in the top 5 try scorers of all time. So it means that if he can score 5 tries in the next 6 weeks or 7 weeks, whatever it is, we'll have Daniel Tupou and Alex Johnson, 2 of the top 5 try scorers of all time, playing each other in round 27. And it might be AJ going for the record, and it could be Daniel Tupou trying to get into the top 4 try scorers of all time.
What I love is they couldn't be more different as players as well.
Yep.
So different.
Couldn't be more different. Mate, that try score, geez Louise, what a jump.
They needed to exploit that matchup more. They needed to kick more to Tupou and Staines. God.
He's on 172 tries right now. Do we think he catches Brett Morris at 176?
Yeah, I think so.
Does he catch Steve Menzies at 180? So I think 8 tries away. He's signed for next year.
Oh, he's signed for next year? Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Billy Slater at 190. So that means he's
15.
18 tries in 2 years.
Yeah, I'll
If he
back him
plays
in.
every game between now and end of next year,
I'll back him
Sweet.
in.
he will.
Okay.
Especially next year when they start ripping.
Yep. Does he get to 200 tries? That's 28 tries away from today.
Well, they could be a premiership heavyweight next year, so you
Bloody
just
oath
don't
they
know.
could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. Could you imagine?
So you could potentially end up at the end of 2027 with, you have 2 of the top 3 try scorers of all time playing in the game.
that's crazy.
AJ and Tupu.
Just quickly before we move on, I know he got taken out once or twice or whatever, but I thought Rodwell was great.
Yeah, he was good.
Like really, yeah, yes, okay. They had some try-saving tackles or whatever, but mate, 24 runs, 218 metres, 54 post-contact. A line break, 2 line break assists. Hey, on your debut, pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
Pretty bloody good.